Micah Parsons has been traded to the Green Bay Packers. Breaking news as of 10 to 15 minutes ago. This is substantial. This is the Luka Doncic trade of the NFL world. Right now, we know that Micah Parsons was traded for at least 2 first-round picks and, quote, a frontline player as I sit here and record this roughly 12 minutes after this trade was announced. This is ginormous. The Green Bay Packers trading for Micah Parsons instantly pushes them into the top tier of the NFC contenders. This is catastrophic NFL news. A 4 for $188 contract extension immediately. Now, I will be going through Twitter and pulling everything up within this because, guys, this is one of the biggest trades that we've seen in the past probably 10 years that just happened. So for the Green Bay Packers to do this, I had a lot of questions about this team's ability to get after the quarterback this year. Now, I know Rashawn Gary has had years in the past where he has played really well, and he's he had a 75 pressure season a couple of years ago, but I had questions about him getting back to that level, and Rashawn Gary has also never been a great finisher as a pass rusher, meaning he's never been a 13 or 14 sack guy, and obviously pressures have a lot of value as a player getting after the quarterback, but this is genuinely insane. I mean, for Jerry to botch this negotiation and just from the start, Micah Parsons tweeted that, hey, we are, I'm going to be good with taking a pay cut. That there was a tweet a couple of weeks ago from Micah that basically said, hey, I am completely fine with, starting my negotiation after the 2023 season, knowing that there will be money left on the table. I just want to get paid. I want to make this painless. And Jerry Jones, I don't know, man. I mean, this is incredible. If you were a Green Bay Packers fan, this is quite literally, we talk about, and what's funny about the Green Bay Packers is we talk about, or not Green Bay Packers, we're not with the Packers, we talk about the Bears winning offseason Super Bowls. This is the offseason of offseason Super Bowls, and good for the Packers. Trade terms, Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. That is per Adam Schefter. That just came through. So that is the frontline player for the Cowboys to receive. I'll be honest, Kenny Clark at this stage in his career, I know he had a bit of an injury last year, but Green Bay absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, fleeced Dallas. Micah Parsons is a Hall of Fame player. Now, I'll give you the Vikings fan reaction here in a little bit, and I promise you guys will definitely have your fun with my giving as a Vikings fan reacting to this, but This is a player, and I want to pull up this exact tweet to give you guys an idea of just how good Micah Parsons is. I mean, this is a player whose numbers are not that far off from a prime J.J. Watt and from a prime Von Miller. I'm not getting into who's better and all that and who's more impactful and all that, but when you look at a sheer numbers standpoint of where Micah Parsons is over the first couple of years of his career, guys, this is a player that I would be very shocked if he does not win a Defensive Player of the Year award at some point in his career. I mean, this is for Green Bay to be able to pull this off. Good for them, man. Good for them, because this is this is by every definition, we are bringing in a Hall of Fame player, and here's what I'm looking for here. We have Micah Parsons even to be in the same stratosphere here with both of these guys, and to be able to have numbers that are comparable to both of these guys. I'm going to zoom out here. To be able to have numbers that, I can't zoom out. I don't think. Anyway, to have numbers that are, where his approximate value is only 9 off of J.J. Watt's, his sacks are 52.5 in 63 career games. J.J. Watt had 57 sacks in 64 career games, so to only be 4.5 sacks off J.J. Watt, to only have a couple of forced fumbles less than him. Now, J.J. did win, a couple of Defensive Player of the Year awards within this. I mean, this is a true Hall of Fame talent. Now, I'm not getting in if Micah retires right now, Hall of Fame, all that, but this is, guys, he is 25 years old. And good for the Packers, man. This is a genuine offseason Super Bowl. Packers fleeced as far as I'm concerned. This is for the Cowboys fans that love to overreact with Jerry news, that love to say, hey, Jerry this, Jerry that. You guys have every right to be justifiably pissed off about this trade. This is as far as I'm concerned the NFL Luka Doncic version. And somebody tweeted out a picture a couple of minutes ago of Luka and Micah signing a Mavs and a Cowboys jersey, and this is This is the equivalent of that. Colin says, I hate being a Cowboys fan. Buddy, I'm going to be honest, I don't blame you, because this was such an easy negotiation from the start for Jerry Jones that he should have said, hey, let's just go ahead and get this done. Micah, whatever your number is, we are going to go ahead and pay you. Now, I don't want to get into the quarterback conversation because you always have to pay quarterbacks and all that, but Micah Parsons is a lot better of a pass rusher than Dak Prescott is as a quarterback. And to botch this negotiation as openly as Jerry did, this should have been an open and shut, as easy as it gets. Hey, Micah, you name your number. Great. I think Micah's represented by David Mulugeta. I might be wrong in that. I'm actually going to go ahead and confirm that. But to basically just botch the entire thing, play hardball, be a dummy, for lack of a better word. And Micah is represented. I'll get to the representation in a minute, but this is monumental NFL news. And now, as a Vikings fan, and this applies to the Bears as well, you have to go up against Aiden Hutchinson, who was playing at a Defensive Player of the Year caliber level last year in the 4.5 games that he played, and now you have Micah Parsons in the division. This is awful for the Vikings and Bears, because now you have two Defensive Player of the Year caliber players in the division that you have to go up for a quarter of your schedule every year. And if you are going to get to the postseason, if you are the Vikings or Bears, you have to go through Green Bay. You have to go through Detroit. And, last year, Xavier McKinney had such a great year for the Packers. And there were times where the Packers defense, not that they were playing bad, but they certainly weren't playing, they weren't elite, if you will. They weren't bad, obviously. They finished top 10 in several defensive metrics. But a lot of the times it seemed like it was Xavier McKinney make a play and kind of bail us out, if you will. And now we have a pass rusher to complement that. And we have a pass rusher to, hey, we're going to get home a lot. Now we have Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. And I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest Lucas Van Ness guy. He was a project player from the start during his time at Iowa, or during his time as a draft prospect coming out of Iowa. But you have to kind of have the conversation. What if Lucas Van Ness develops? What if Lucas Van Ness becomes a first-round caliber pass rusher? And then you'd have a Hall of Fame talent in Micah Parsons. You'd have a Pro Bowl talent in Rashawn Gary, and Lucas Van Ness all getting after the quarterback. This is genuinely insane. I'll read some comments here. We have a super chat here. Appreciate it. This is from Noah. Appreciate it. And Noah says, us fan bases in the NFC East would like to send our personal thanks to Jerry Jones. Wonderful birthday present. First off, happy birthday, Noah. My birthday was yesterday, and I'll be honest, I had a good happy birthday present. My guy Adam Thielen came home. I was very excited about that. But this is like the welcome back to the real world, buddy. Now your birthday's over. We're gonna send Micah Parsons to your division rival in his prime, and this is dating back a couple of years. Each player has done different things since then, and each player is still really good, but Christian Darrisaw is more developed into his own. But there was a game back in 2022. Obviously, everybody remembers the Bills-Vikings game in 2022, and this, I promise, ties into Micah Parsons. Obviously, everybody remembers the Vikings-Justin Jefferson game in 2022 and all that. What a lot of people don't remember is the immediate following week, the Vikings were blown out at home, 40-3 by the Dallas Cowboys, and on the very first drive of the game, Micah Parsons beat Christian Darrisaw, who is, by every definition, a franchise left tackle, beat him, strip sack Kirk Cousins, and the route was on. And that is what I greatly, greatly worry about, is playing this physical specimen every year, twice a year, because Jerry Jones botched one of the easiest negotiations ever, openly said by Micah. So that's frustrating. That's frustrating. Let's see where Hutch is going to break the bank now. He is going to break the bank. By the way, I appreciate everybody saying happy belated birthday. I do appreciate that. But no, this is genuinely insane. This is genuinely insane. This is the NFL Luka version. And let's see if there's any other news coming out here. Week 4 on Sunday night, we have Packers Cowboys. We have, somebody just tweeted a picture of Micah in a Packers uniform and Luka in a Lakers uniform, and basically said, if you would have showed this to a Dallas fan a year ago, nobody would have believed it. This is just genuinely insane, man. And by the way, anybody who is saying those picks are like, that's too much for Micah, or Kenny Clark is too much for Micah, I would gladly, if I was Brian Gutekunst, I would have hung up the phone and basically the Wolf of Wall Street meme where Leonardo DiCaprio's convincing the guy and he's flicking him off as he's making the deal. That's what I would have been. That's the energy that I would have had making that deal if I were Goot in that specific situation. 2 firsts and Kenny Clark for the player Micah Parsons is. Oh my God, big deal. You got to pay a Hall of Fame player. Pennies for the player Micah Parsons is. So somebody said F you Jerry Jones. I don't necessarily condone the language, although they said F. They didn't actually type out what that F word would actually mean. Although, Vikings fan speaking, not NFL analyst, I wouldn't disagree with that specifically, just hypothetically. Somebody said, I hate being a Bears fan. Can't say I blame you there. Jerry's ego destroyed the Cowboys. If you're a Cowboys fan now, truly, let's kind of talk about the Cowboys side of this, because obviously the excitement is for the Packers fans, and rightfully so. I mean, I've said it probably 15 times already in the 10 minutes we've been recording, but if you are a Cowboys fan, I mean, what do you feel going into the year? We are 1 week away from playing Cowboys Eagles, and you are going into the Link week 1 Sunday Night Football without one of the best players in the NFL. And you're basically saying to Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens on a 1-year rental deal, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge Javonte Williams believer, and you're basically saying, hey, good luck, guys. You're going up against a defense that, and I know they've had to replace a couple players. I know Milt Williams signed a $100 million contract this offseason, but good luck, guys. Don't get killed by a defense that was absolutely tearing it up for the final month and change. Well, really most of the year, but specifically in the final month and change down the 2024 season. If you are a Cowboys fan, by the way, please comment how you feel, because right now you have a quarterback that's getting paid an AAV, average annual value, of $60 million, and you just paid CD. The first round picks are going to be, I mean, the Packers are still a good football team. Even if they go one and done, which I don't think they will, by the way, you're still looking at pick 19 or pick 20 in the first round every year, or for each not every year, but each selection. So if you go by the Jimmy Johnson trade value, let's actually take a look as to what this is, because I'm going to say that those picks are going to be at minimum, we'll say pick 20, even though I probably think it would be at least 26 or 27. We'll just take a look here at what pick 20 would be within the trade chart. You traded Micah Parsons for the equivalent. We'll say pick 20 is 850 points. 850 times 2 is 1,700. You traded Micah Parsons for the equivalent of a number 5 overall pick. And you also get a 30-year-old Kenny Clark who had a bit of an injured 2024 season. This is just bad. It's a bad process, man. It's such a bad process for the Cowboys. Such a bad process. By the way, super chat appreciated from Adam Taylor. Happy belated birthday. Appreciate it. Got tickets to the Vikings game in London. Love the content. Keep it up. Skull. And that'll be a good game it'll be a fun game to attend against Cleveland. At least we're not playing the Packers. Dude, I'm going to be honest now. Now, I want to kind of take the gloves off here as a Vikings fan. By the way, I do appreciate the super chat and the birthday wishes. As a Vikings fan, this is one that could get clipped. I'll just be honest. I am like terrified of this, man. Micah and Aiden Hutchinson both a quarter of the year. There's no way around it. I mean, it sucks. You want me to sit here and say, oh, well, look, I love JJ. I love every situation that we have. But speaking strictly from a Vikings fan perspective, this is the worst news. I tweeted jokingly a couple of times that, hey, there's a Sopranos clip of Tony. Shout out Sopranos, by the way, one of the best TV shows ever. Of when the TV character, whenever Meadow says she's going to go to Barcelona and Tony screams at her, I'm warning you, do not do it. In the James Gandolfini voice, I tweeted that at Adam Schefter. Don't do the Micah Parsons. I'm warning you, don't do the Micah Parsons to Green Bay tweet, because I was very fearful that it would happen. That my worst nightmares came true. So, this is tough, man. A lot of super chats flowing in. Genuinely appreciate everybody being in here. But like I said, guys, I am hurting. If I'm being honest, I mean, you want the honest truth, I'm hurting. But by the way, from an analyst standpoint, tremendous move, Green Bay. And by the way, I also want to talk about Jordan Love quickly within this. Jordan Love, to me, the way that people talk about Jordan Love and definitively act like Jordan Love is, man, he's a tier 3 player. He's the 13th best quarterback. He was not 100% last year. 2023 Jordan Love, down the stretch, once he got his feet under him, by the way, and then specifically in that Cowboys game, and then I know he had the interception against the 49ers, but he was trying to make a play. And I'd rather have him try and make a play than kind of get the yips and do the, that thing in the pocket and then take a sack. So I don't really care that he threw an interception against the 49ers in the 23 divisional round. Jordan Love is a playmaker, man. He's a really good player. He's an underappreciated player by the national media. I'm going to go through some supers here. Genuinely appreciate everybody being in here. My Pet Bearded Dragon, nice username, says, genuinely just ruined my day. I can't believe my Bears have to face him twice a year. From a Bears perspective, it gets even worse because you also have Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel already in the division, and Grenard absolutely lit up Caleb Williams last year on a strip sack in the U.S. Bank game and on the Monday night game. And now you have, again, like we said with Micah, a Hall of Fame talent. So this is Bears fans get the we won the offseason narrative, but this is the definition of winning the offseason. D. Ganassi 698, never change, Jerry. If it means Cowboys fans, tears on my timeline. But in all honesty, why the Packers? But anyway, did you have a good birthday? I did have a good birthday. Appreciate you asking. Hold on, might have some news about the Cowboys. No. I did have a good birthday. Had raspberry chipotle wings. Phenomenal, by the way. I know it might not sound the best, but phenomenal. Chef's kiss. And the Vikings traded for Adam Thielen. So I had as good of a birthday as I could have had. Don G, and appreciate the birthday wishes, by the way. Don G says, suck for Schottenheimer, short end of stick for him. And by the way, let's continue to talk about Brian Schottenheimer within this. Because, first off, I'll be honest, I was never a fan of the Brian Schottenheimer hire. And when you look at the NFL's head coaches heading into the 25 season, and whenever I do kind of like coach discussions and either this could also be player rankings, I'm just going to name like good head coaches, and I'm not, if I forget your team's head coach, I promise it's not personal, right? But if you go by good head coaches and you look at Shanahan, McVay, Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni just won a Super Bowl, Matt LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell, Dan Campbell, if I didn't say him already, and there's plenty of more, right? I'm not trying to forget anybody, but you get where I'm going with this. I do think Vrabel is going to be a better coach than Schottenheimer, even though we haven't seen him in New England. That shouldn't be a hot take. You get the gist pretty quickly of he's down on the list. So we're talking about a team that just traded away Micah Parsons for a 30-year-old defensive tackle and 2 first-round picks that are going to be in the early 20s, although I would venture to say late 20s. And you kind of have what I would say is a puppet out there in Brian Schottenheimer. What is the future? When you ask the question, what is the vision with the Dallas Cowboys right now? What is it? Because I do not have an answer to that. I don't have an answer. Are we going to try and tread water for a year? I don't understand the vision. I don't understand the vision. So that's one that I don't know. Jerry's a hell of a salesman, but I don't know how you can possibly sell this to your fan base. Speedy9313, appreciate the super chat. He says, Kenny Clark and 2 firsts for Micah Parsons. Insane work. Agree. And by the way, Speedy said within his super chat, Michael Parsons. By the way, while we're on Jerry said that there were multiple times when he was in press conferences, he said Michael Parsons just to really dig the kind of nail in the coffin, if you will. If you are a Cowboys fan, I mean, I don't make the rules. I'm not like claiming I make the rules, any of that, whatever. If you were a Cowboys fan and you're basically saying, look, I don't want to be a fan of this team until, Jerry preemptively, I guess, the phrasing would be buys the farm or is gone or sells the team or whatever, I wouldn't blame you. I really would not blame you, because where's this franchise headed? I mean, are we going to be the NFC version of the Bengals this year? Is that your best hope? Because when you ask the question, and by the way, I'm a big Donovan Ezeraku fan. I really liked the idea of Donovan Ezeraku playing opposite of Michael. I said Michael myself. Opposite of Micah Parsons. What do you even say, man? This is such a. I feel bad for Cowboys fans. I really, really do. I really do. By the way, I'm not from Minnesota. By the way, I'm from Maryland. I'm not going to show you, but I do have a tattoo on my leg of Maryland. I am from Maryland. We have the best state flag in the country. Not even close, but I am from Maryland. Jamal Adams gets more than Micah Parsons. It's a joke. It is a joke. My best friend has been a lifelong Cowboys fan. Disowned the team. I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. So. How did I become a Vikings fan? My dad grew up a fan, and then I was 6 years old, made the decision to follow my dad's footsteps. He grew up like during the heyday, and then I did not know what I was signing up for. Kind of wish I would have knew what I was signing up for, but anyway, you live and learn. All right, let's keep going through these super chats because they all pertain to this discussion. JTWK says, as a Hawks fan, I had to endure 10 years of Aaron Donald twice a year. Have fun. That's pretty much what it's like. That is pretty much, yeah, man. Micah, maybe this is a hot take, by the way. The hot take was going to be I'd rather go Donald twice a year than Hutch and Micah 4 times a year, just because you can at least get the 2 out of the way quick. But then towards the end, you had Donald and Bosa, so that was not fun. But no, this is Vikings fan in me is not scared. I'm just very, very pissed off, rightfully so. Let's see. Michael says, Lions-Packers, NFC Championship. Who are you taking? I still biasly have the Lions and Hutch. So I'll talk about the Lions real quick within this, because the NFC North, this obviously directly affects the NFC North. There's this belief with the Lions that people just think that Ben Johnson just ran the entire team, and that Dan Campbell is basically a hype man. I actually had somebody specifically in my mentions the other day on Twitter say that they're not going to do anything because the hype man doesn't have his guy to call plays and everything, as if... Anyway, Lions-Packers NFC Championship. I still think I would go Lions this year, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a great game, and Micah wouldn't have a huge impact. Obviously, line him up against Taylor Decker every play. That's not a good matchup for Taylor Decker, and I'll just leave it at that. Let's see here. Spa says, I think it was smart to trade him since they weren't contenders, but they could have gotten so much more than 2 firsts if Packers are paying him $47 a year. The reality is if you were Jerry Jones and you were trading him, well, I thought should have happened a couple of hours ago. You name your price, and you cannot sit here and tell me that 2 firsts, and I genuinely mean no disrespect by this, but Kenny Clark is the player you get back for Micah Parsons. Kenny Clark in his prime, great defensive tackle. And anybody would love to have a player of Kenny Clark's caliber in his prime. But a guy going on 30 for a team that is not a Super Bowl contender is not worthless, because that's a very, very harsh word. But I would argue it's pretty meaningless in the grand scheme of things for the Cowboys to acquire Kenny Clark of all players. If you were to do anything, I'm kind of just spitballing off the top of my head. Why would you not want somebody like a Jaden Reed? Why would you not demand somebody back like that? Hey, you want a Hall of Fame pass rusher? You're going to give up Jaden Reed. So that way we can have somebody else to throw the ball to. And Jaden Reed's also young, so that would play into that. I don't get it, man. Dallas will have a top 5 pick this year, says K-Dot. I will push back on that. I do disagree with that. Mainly because I still think Dak Prescott has a high floor as a quarterback, or a higher floor. And, whenever you think of the top 5 quarterbacks, or top 5 draft teams that'll finish with the top 5 pick, you obviously think of teams like the Browns or the Saints because they have, Spencer Rattler or Joe Flacco or Dylan Gabriel or Tyler Shuck or Shador leading the team the whole year. And, especially with the Browns, you're in a division with great quarterbacks in Burrow and Lamar, and the Steelers team is overall better than the Browns. Generally, those are 2 of the 5 that you think of in the top 5. I don't think the Cowboys are even close to that. The thing is, if this is the bottom and then you have, the elite of the elite in the NFC, the Cowboys are perpetually stuck in the middle. And, believe it or not, I am going to credit Jerry Jones for a couple of things. In 2019, Dak had the horrific injury, right? And then he was having let me back this up. Let me go back 1 second. In 2020, Dak had the horrific injury. This was after the Cowboys had CeeDee Lamb fall in their lap. And they drafted CeeDee, who is a tremendous receiver. CeeDee is everything they could have hoped for in a first-round pick. 2021, they trade back with the Eagles. The Giants wanted Devontae Smith. The Eagles get Devontae Smith. The Cowboys get Micah Parsons. And then the following year, they get Tyler Smith. That was a tremendous build through the draft 3-year run by GM Jerry Jones. It's pretty simple, though. You draft CeeDee Lamb, you draft Micah Parsons, you draft Tyler Smith. I have a groundbreaking idea here, guys. Maybe we should pay our good players. Anyway, Cowboys fan, it's a failure like A.J. Brown to the Eagles. A trade that sends you from mid-tier to the number 1 pick. Also, what happens on Sunday, 9/28/25, that would be week 4, Cowboys-Packers. Look, I think it will be fitting for Micah to have a great game against the Cowboys, and I think he will. Whenever you look at the Cowboys' offensive line, and they're going back to Dallas, so Micah's going to be geared up for that one. But this is, just simply put it, man, this is the Luka Doncic trade of the NFL. Bears foresight start 3-0. I don't know what that means. Bears are starting 3-0 is what he says. Okay. Happy late B-Day, says Sam. Appreciate it. Thanks for the vids. Also appreciate it. Let's see. Caleb and JJ, at least the Packers are broke after this. Releasing Jair looks better now. Look. Yeah, RIP to Caleb and your JJ McCarthy because of this. Yeah, this stinks, man. Like from the Vikings fans' perspective, there's no justifying this. There's no, oh, hey, we did this. Oh, hey. No, this sucks. Cowboys then followed those 3 drafts by getting no contributors. You're not wrong, says the user Dallas. You're not wrong, but as a Lions fan, I'm devastated, brother. I'm right there with you. But that pretty much wraps up everything. I think we covered all grounds here. The Packers are now undoubtedly in the top tier of NFC teams. I thought they had a pretty limited ceiling prior to the Micah trade. I thought they were going to be 10 wins, maybe 11, maybe they get to the divisional round. But I thought if they were going to go into a Detroit or Philly that, hey, they would lose at that point. But guys, Micah Parsons is a Hall of Fame game wrecker, and anything can happen now that they have Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. So this is like I said, it's one of the biggest moves that we'll have over the past 5 to 10 years. There's not many players that could get traded that would top this. It would have to be a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase, obviously any of the big 4 quarterbacks, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar Allen. It would have to be something of that magnitude. Maybe, Justin Herbert. It would have to be something like that. I would probably say off the top of my head, this is probably the biggest trade since Matt Stafford, unless I'm missing one between then and now. I don't think I am, but all right. Trenton says, "Rest in piss, Cowboys fly, Eagles fly." Yeah, look, if you were a Birds fan, you have to be elated with this to not have to play this twice a year. Russ trade would be up there. For sure. Good call on that one. I forgot about the Russ trade. AJ Brown, I would not put as big as the Stafford trade personally. Now, the impact because of the Super Bowl this year and the touchdown, but in terms of, Deshaun is also a good one. Good call there. But this is just such a huge trade. Wonder if there was a bidding war. That's a good point. We did not discuss that. Love from UK, by the way. Appreciate that, Max. If there was a bidding war, and if you're Eric DeCosta or Brandon Beane, and I know there's how will the Ravens figure it out financially? Trust me, if they wanted to figure it out, that they could figure something out if it came down to, hey, Eric DeCosta, you can acquire Micah Parsons for Odafe Oweh and 2 first-round picks. Something would have happened. I'll just leave it at that. I'm sure that they could have manipulated the cap somehow, some way. I'm not getting into the niche and hyper-specific of that, but if there was a bidding war, and you are Eric DeCosta and or Brandon Beane, and that's all it costs, if you would have said, hey, Brandon Beane, Ed Oliver plus 2 firsts for Micah, or Eric DeCosta, Odafe plus 2 firsts, you have to be kicking yourself in the rear end if there was a bidding war. But NFC North, I would personally say the best division in football now, if it wasn't already. Vikings fan perspective, this sucks. I hate it, obviously. NFL analysts, Green Bay easily in the upper echelon. Credit to Brian Kudikas for getting the trade done, and good for them. Truly good for them, because they were on that level of, hey, we're above good, but we're not elite, and it would have taken so many dominoes to fall the Packers' way for them to really make a run at the NFC Championship game or Super Bowl. But now they have, and they added a Hall of Fame talent. So good for them. But that will wrap up the stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And this video has a chance to go down in the channel's history. Basically, in a couple years that, hey, this is how I reacted. And we'll see how it ages. But, if the first 4 years of Micah's career have been anything, my life is going to suck over the next couple years. Thanks, Jerry. Love you guys.